John from Packers Blitz, and I have a new podcast, Dairyland Frights. With my co-hosts, Megan and Brooke, we're going to cover some of the spookiest and creepiest paranormal tales in the Midwest. So if you don't listen to my new podcast, Dairyland Frights, you're chicken. Hello, Packer fans. You're listening to Packers Blitz with my co-host, Andy. The podcast done by two diehard Packer fans who survived Packer football of the 80s and live to talk about it. This podcast is dedicated to all our Packer fans out there. So, Andy, we won.
We did.
We beat the
Victory.
Packers.
Victory. That's that positive mentality.
Ours. Yay!
Yep.
Why don't you kick off here?
Welcome, happy Packers fans.
Yes,
to
welcome,
Packers Blitz.
happy Packer fans.
Happy. Yep.
Yes, so we won. Christian Watson looks like the real deal. But, Andy, what episode is it? It is our what episode number?
It's our 5th episode. And I just wanted to say, John, that I wrote out some of these things, not to get too sentimental or whatnot, but I'm very honored to be able to talk about our favorite football team. I just am, the Green Bay Packers. And not just because they won today, but they're still our favorite football team, win or lose. This is just a great forum for us to give Packer fans some information, some thoughts, some insights. It's also very therapeutic, especially this year during the 2022 season. Yeah. In a great mood, you're in a great mood, and there's a reason for that. We're doing it right after the victory, just about not more than a half an hour ago. So excited to be hosting with you, good buddy.
Yes, same here.
We are finally putting our Platteville broadcasting degree to some good use after over 30 years.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to thank the best fans in professional sports, the Green Bay Packer fans, for listening to us. So
yes, I couldn't have said it better. Thank you, Packer fans. We're building this podcast, and we really want you to be a part of it, obviously, because it's something that you really don't hear a lot. Most of the time you hear from ESPN and all the other big guys, they're usually ripping on the Packers, but they don't understand what it means to be a Packer fan and to really live and die when they win and lose and everything. So, hey,
yeah,
guess
sorry to cut you off, John. It's funny because I talked to you. I listen to Colin Cowherd all the time. And he rips on the Packers all the time. And I do respect a lot of what he says. It's very interesting, and he brings on some really good guests. So there is some value, but he does tend to not be a big Aaron Rodgers fan.
No.
Or a big Packers.
No.
I can't give him. You can't give the Packers too many kudos for even when they win. So we'll see what happens when I listen in on Monday to him to see what he says. But I hope he says something positive.
Is he thinks the Packers should be winning Super Bowls every year? Well, yeah, that would be great. He doesn't like LaFleur. He doesn't like Rodgers. Even when current players and former players come on Colin Cowherd and they say, Aaron Rodgers is a great leader. He wants to win. He hates losing. He knows he makes mistakes. Again, Aaron Rodgers is my boy from listening to this podcast. Everybody knows that. But what he doesn't understand is, like, for example, I was watching a little bit of the Minnesota game today. The Jets should have won that game. There's no reason the Jets should have lost. Okay. And any Viking fans listening to this, look, you guys are one and done. If you make it to the NFC Championship, Philadelphia Eagles are going to throttle you. I mean, you don't even have a chance. And if you do win on the off chance, hey, reach out to me. I'm wrong. I'm more of a man than Cowherd to admit it, even though he does his right and wrong stuff. Yeah, whatever.
He does.
Let's get to
Yeah.
Go
Well,
ahead.
he picked Minnesota though to win the division. So of course, when
Okay.
he was right on that one. You got to give him credit for that. But he will bring it up. And then to follow up, he'll bring on Greg Jennings, who isn't a great.
No.
He,
He's not a good
Aaron
ambassador for the
Rodgers
Packers.
got him his big contract. So,
Yeah, he
come
did.
on. And Greg Jennings does not talk always favorably of
No.
Aaron Rodgers or the Packers.
No, he doesn't.
So of course he brings him on here and there. So
Of course.
kind of
And
interesting.
Jermichael Finley, who has nothing good to say about Rodgers. And even though Jermichael Finley was a prima donna, everybody knows that this guy was a heck of a talent. He should have been a Hall of Famer, but he was just so much of a prima donna and couldn't stay on the field. That's him. That's not Rodgers. That's you. So look in the mirror. That's your problem. So
John, do we have any Packers news and notes? I
yes,
guess
we do.
Anything you've got for us?
Yes, we do.
I was going to talk a little bit about Christian Watson, but
yeah. So
just briefly, or try to.
And I saw that, but we forgot the biggest news of all. Who is the most winningest? Is that a word? Organization in the NFL. Who is that, Andy?
It's the Green Bay Packers.
It's the Green Bay Packers. We now own the record as the most wins in NFL history of any other team.
And so against the Bears, too. I think it was like 104 wins.
Bears.
Yeah.
And by the way, the two teams who have the most people in the Hall of Fame are the Packers and the Bears. Okay. I think the Bears have one or two players ahead of us, but we'll crush them. And we'll have pretty soon we're going to have the most players in the Hall of Fame, the most wins by any team in the NFL, and other kudos. Now, Super Bowls, we still have 4. So we don't have, I believe the Steelers have 6. Who else has 6?
Probably San Francisco San Francisco's got to be up there.
Oh, and my favorite team in the world, the Patriots. Obviously, they have 7.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's my news. Winning against the Bears was really exciting today. And just watching the game, the ups and downs, what we're going to. I'm going to turn it now to my good buddy Andy to talk about Christian Watson, because he definitely is becoming a force.
Yes, we definitely have to mention him. That's for sure. So, Packers wide receiver, Christian Watson, our rookie wide receiver, was named NFL Offensive Rookie of the Month for November.
Yes.
It's significant because he's only the 3rd Packers rookie to do so. Samkon Gatto, love that name.
That's
Samkon Gatto, November of 2005, and then Eddie Lacy in October of 2013. So he's only the 3rd to do it. He caught 14 passes for 289 yards and 6 touchdowns. Of course, that's increased. This was just in November. And now he has actually 8 touchdowns. I wrote 7 touchdowns, but I didn't add the one that he had another running one today. So he added 2 more today. That is more than Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, and Mike Evans. So he has more receiving touchdowns than any of those 3. So that's a great accomplishment. And this has just happened in the last few games and he's already surpassed them. He's just the 8th NFL rookie to post 6+ receiving touchdowns and at least 1 rushing touchdown in a season since 1970, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So then, according to Wes Hotchkiewicz, hopefully I got that right, Packers.com digital reporter, Christian Watson has had at least 1 touchdown in the last 3 games, and now it's actually 4 games, and has posted multiple TD receptions of at least 50+ yards in the same season. He is the first Packers rookie to accomplish that feat since Packer great wide receiver Billy Houghton in 1952.
I knew Billy. Me and him used to hang out together.
Yep.
I'm not that old.
Yep. Yeah, I'm feeling old too, John. That's for sure. So, yeah, so he's just been awesome, and again, setting a lot of records, isn't he? So, and then according to Aaron Rodgers, he's playing with a lot of confidence. This is a quote from him. He's playing with a lot of confidence. He's catching everything, and he's being consistent, and it's fun to see. So, great words from Aaron Rodgers after the last game.
Yeah, so let me just add something with that. So I think it was last month sometime, people asked, reporters asked, hey, what would be your decision in coming back to Aaron Rodgers? And Aaron Rodgers said, well, one would be the development of the rookie receivers. So I really think Christian Watson turned his head. Romeo Dobbs, we'll see if he comes back. They might shut him down for the rest of the season, but if he comes back, I think he had a decent showing. And then help me out with this, Andy. Is it Tumrai? What's his name? The kid from
Toure?
Nebraska? Toure. He
Yeah.
has showed that he could be trying to think like a possession receiver, or maybe he could stretch the field a little bit more for you. You know, who knows? You know, the kid's got to step up a little bit more. But once I think he learns the offense a little bit more, I really think we have a nice balance. And we're going to be drafting pretty high in this draft, probably top 10,
Ninth.
depends on ninth.
No, it's ninth as of
right
yesterday.
now. Okay. So
But
top
as of
10,
today, it
unless
might be a little bit higher. Yeah.
yeah, unless we go a little bit and win some more. We got to be careful of that because, Andy, do you remember a great running back for the Detroit Lions called Barry Sanders? Do you remember
Oh
him?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Just
Do
like
you
Walter Payton, he used to run all over us all the
Okay,
time.
so people, if you don't know who Barry Sanders is, go to YouTube, watch his highlights. You would not believe it. He's my favorite running back of all time, even though he played for the Lions. But one thing
And
we
we
did
could have
wrong,
drafted him.
correct, Andy. So what we did
That's
on
another
that
show.
draft,
That's for another
yeah,
show, John.
yeah, we'll talk about in our draft thing. But what we did was we won this game. I don't know who we played, to be honest with you. I have to go back and look, but we won the game. And if we would have lost it, we would have got Barry Sanders. So I kind of was going. And the funny thing is, Barry Sanders would have been playing with Brett Favre. Could you imagine Barry Sanders, Brett Favre, and Reggie White on the same team? How many
Yeah.
Super Bowls do we win
Wow.
now? I mean, we're winning probably at least 2, if not 3,
And
right?
that would have
I mean,
and John, that would have lengthened his career too.
oh, yeah, you could
Quite a bit because
hand off.
he got sick of losing with Detroit, so
Yes.
he retired
Yeah,
a
he
lot
retired.
earlier than anybody expected him to.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, let's be careful. No, we don't want to lose. So I'm not saying that. Just to make it clear, Packer fans, let's tank. What I'm saying is right now we're at 9. We'll probably stay at 9. However, there's some really bad football teams. I figured out in the entire NFC. Now check this fact out. The entire NFC, all 16 teams, there are only 7 teams above 500. 7 teams above 500. The rest, most from NFC East. There's only one in the NFC North, the Vikings. There's 2 in no, I don't think there's 2 anymore in the NFC South. And then NFC West, I believe there's 2 or 3. So it's not really what you would say a great year for any imagination when 7 teams or possibly 6 teams are only above 500. Because I know Tampa Bay, I think Atlanta lost today, so I think they're under 500. And then Carolina and New Orleans, they're under 500. So I think that whole division's
Yeah,
under 500.
they all are in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is actually leading the division, and they're under 500, which is pretty sad.
Tom Brady.
You know what?
Let's go to game review. So I'll start out. Andy has more facts and everything, but let me go really quickly here. Uh, First thing is, I don't know what to do with Joe Barry anymore. And the reason I say that is because we had 2 interceptions today, but it's Justin Fields, and it's a terrible Bear offense and a terrible Bear defense, which we were making look like they were a winning team at one point, which really made me mad, because I was like, "Who is this rookie?" I can't remember the kid's name because I was just like some walk-on guy who was running people down on the Bears defense, and they were holding every play. They were holding our receivers for the most part. I'm sure Andy will bring that up.
Yep.
And really what it came down to was we're just slightly better than them at this point in time. So that's really how we won. And then you'll talk about Christian Watson, all that good stuff. Now, here's one thing again that will blow your mind, and this is scary. The Bears salary cap room over $110 million next year. They literally can buy a championship team. So that to me is really scary, having over $100 million to spend on players. That means you can go out and get 2 defensive studs, maybe 3 or 4 offensive studs, and immediately your offensive line is one of the best. Your defensive line could be one of the best. And they by far have the most money to spend. So that's why I'm enjoying it now, because we don't know Aaron Rodgers' future. We don't know the future of Aaron Jones and some other players. So right now, it makes it even more fun to say, hey, we beat you again, and hopefully we can continue that. So really my observations are, I don't know what to do to Joe Barry. We had a couple of turnovers and we had some pretty good play, but we're still struggling against below average teams. And we should have shut the door really with them. And we didn't until later in the half when Justin Fields really had to. And that's the thing with Justin Fields. The same thing with Jay Cutler back in the day. Once you put pressure on him and you say you have to run down the field to win the game, it's over. You know they're gonna. It's like Charles Woodson used to say about Jay Cutler. It's the same old Jay. So it's kind of like it's the same old Justin. So anyway, those are just my basic observations. Andy, why don't you give your key observations for the game?
Yeah, so great victory for the Packers. A win is a win. 28-19, I believe, was the final score.
Correct.
And you can use this, John. Winning is a great elixir, isn't it? So, yeah, some of my observations were I was surprised Justin Fields was active and played. Shows how tough he is. Trevor Simeon, I believe his name is, was placed on IR, so he didn't even suit up. And so he has an oblique injury, but it doesn't really matter anymore because Justin Fields played, Aaron Rodgers played, not Jordan Love, like so many were calling for this week, which we will get into later. So quite a bit of that chatter this week. The Green Bay defense pretty much had no excuses because Devondre Campbell was back. He was in. He's our defensive leader and signal caller. And Fields was supposedly not supposed to be able to run at full speed, which was kind of surprising because of his issues with his shoulder and everything else going on. But you would never have noticed, figure that out, at least in the first half, huh? And then there's really no excuses for the Green Bay offense playing the Chicago defense, which isn't very good.
None.
And Chicago's back end, their cornerbacks, defensive backs, or whatever, have been ravaged by injuries. They had 3 defensive starters out, and then Bakhtiari for us was out, appendicitis or appendectomy or whatever. And this is just the way the season has been going this far for us. But luckily, it didn't affect us too much. But at least Aaron Rodgers was in. So in the first half, the team seemed like it was in desperate need of a defibrillator. like some paddles to jumpstart its heart and electric shock
Yeah.
its brain. So that was my first thought. So the
Yeah.
defense looked like they had quit on Joe Barry in the first
Mm.
half, and the offense couldn't make any plays against kind of a crappy D as we, you know. So no excuses. I'm not trying to whine or anything, but the officiating sucked. There were no penalties by either team. The Bears, defenders had way too many holds, like John said before, past 5 yards, you can't do that. A lot of route altering pass interference. They were way too handsy. And but on a positive note, Aaron Jones went over 5,000 rushing yards, I believe, for his career in the first half. And then Christian Watson had his seventh TD reception in 4 games at the end of the half.
Yeah.
And moving on to the second half, luckily we kind of kicked it into
Don't
gear.
sound too thrilled about it.
Well, at first we were 3 and out, and the thing that again got me was the poor officiating. You know, AJ Dillon fell down, got back up. He wasn't touched down. He gets back up and gets the first down, but they called it down by contact. They meaning the refs. And then of course LaFleur doesn't throw the challenge flag. You know, Aaron Rodgers is yelling over to the sideline. I think he was yelling at the sideline and not the officials. Right. And why didn't they throw the challenge flag? Because that is reviewable. So then on the next play, they didn't convert, and we had to punt. So right away, you're kind of like, oh, here we go. So, and then I noticed.
Hey,
yeah,
Andy,
go ahead.
let me throw in something really quick here. One thing I've been noticed about the play call, why don't you throw the challenge flag is ridiculous to me. But have you noticed when we're calling plays, we seem to pass when we should run and run when we should pass? That's kind of the feeling I get it because it's what was it, 4th and 1 or 4th and 3
third
or
and
something?
There's a 3rd and 1 too, or just
And
come
what do
on.
we
You had
do?
AJ Dillon back there. He was running really well, and
he's 5 yards a carry.
They threw a pass. Right.
Yeah, to Lazard, and he throws this pass where I'm like, what? Okay, so go on.
And it was kind of 4 down territory anyway, you know.
Absolutely.
And so why not run twice in a row and pick it up? And it still gets me that I understand Rodgers is just turned 39. He's a little bit fragile and whatnot, but can he every so often sneak it just to keep them honest? And I don't want to get him hurt because Mahomes, I think a few years back, dislocated a kneecap or something doing it. And I totally understand why you wouldn't have him do it, but they will never expect it. Never expect it. So how about just once in the next few days, you know, games, or once this season, can we please see a sneak? And so, but I do understand he's a little bit banged up with the ribs and everything. I do understand, but man, I just would like to see it once. Just give it just once, please. So anyway, but I noticed during the second half, at least initially, I was watching him when he was doing some of the runs that he was doing, and he was protecting his left shoulder. And then I was trying to figure out, why isn't anybody hitting him? Can somebody hit him hard once? Because that one touchdown run that he had in the first half, nobody even touched him. And everybody was missing tackles again. It's like, can somebody put a hit on him? So it just seemed there was a little bit of lack of urgency to begin with. But on the start of the, I think it was the start of the fourth quarter, we had our longest play of the game, which was 38 yards on a pass interference penalty that had to be called. Basically, the defensive back ran it. I think it was into Christian Watson. And that was our biggest play up until then. But then, boy, did it change. You had A.J. Dillon stepping up, had a 21-yard TD run at the start of the fourth. And then you had all these big chunk plays throughout the day for Chicago. With Justin Fields with his 55-yard TD run that I talked about, a 56-yard pass to Equiminius St. Brown. Seriously, couldn't do that when he played for us, right?
Yeah,
and then that reject from New England, N'Keal Harry, their wide receiver, had a 49-yard pass. Big chunk plays. which is unacceptable against
Yeah, they're a bunch
a
of
Bears
nobody.
offense that stinks.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, we started getting some big chunk plays of our own. Christian Watson
Hmm.
had another TD run of 46 yards. We got the 2-point conversion from Rogers' pass to Mercedes Lewis, which was an awesome play call. A veteran stepping up, making a play. Nice to see him do that. Big target,
Yeah.
easy throw,
He,
wide open. Beautiful call play. Loved it. And then Jari Alexander, I've been critical of him at times because he just
hmm
seems really, I hate to say it, not a good sportsman, kind of cocky, you know. But anyway, but
Yeah,
he did
up
get
and
his
down. Yeah.
get his fourth interception of the season and made a
Yes, he
big
did.
play for us. Very crucial play with, I think it was just over 2 minutes left in the game. And
Yeah.
then Keyshawn Nixon, who we had been doing great on the kickoff returns. I think Randall Cobb is doing some of the punt returns today,
Yes,
but
he is.
Keyshawn Nixon came up with another big interception after that to seal the game. So great job, great team effort. It was just
Yeah.
great to see. So
Yeah. It was great to
wonderful.
see. Yes. And it makes your week a better week, right? And everything. One of the things I guess I really look at with this team is like we've talked about it, being balanced, being consistent. And it just seems like when we do that, when we give, you know, people a chance to run, whether it be Aaron Jones or AJ Dillon, when we stay consistent with him and just let him run, whether he gets a 1 yard play or a 5 yard or whatever, eventually you just wear down as a defense, especially when you have that guy coming at you. Because even if he gets 1 or 2 yards, that's 200 and some pounds of quadzilla coming at you. Yeah, you kind of want to say, like, gosh, I'm going to make a business decision, which they say in the NFL, and maybe I'll let him slip through that that hole one next time instead of meeting him full force. So anyway, great win and everything. So let's move on to our top Packers Blitz topic of the week. And one of the things I was really worried about this week was they were going to start Jordan Love. And I thought, oh boy, okay, this is maybe not the time to do it. But Aaron Rodgers did something surprising this week that I never thought he would do. And he said, and I quote, he'd be willing or would be open to kind of sitting down and giving Jordan Love a chance. He didn't say finish the season. I'm just throwing that in there. And I found that interesting because I felt Rodgers would never do that because Favre wouldn't do that. Are you crazy? Favre would never let Rodgers get in that game unless the game was garbage time and you're just kind of going through some things. And I think Rodgers, unfortunately, is thinking about retiring. And I know there's a great debate, and Andy obviously will give you talk about it too. But this can kind of be, how do I say, Aaron Rodgers now thinks, well, hey, wait a minute, maybe I should play. Maybe I should, the receivers are playing better. We'll get a draft picks. We'll have another year. I can give Jordan some time to learn the offense a little bit. And let's put it this way. I'll be honest. I'm scared of Aaron Rodgers leaving because everyone wants to anoint Jordan Love, you know, and I'm not really sure if that's the greatest thing uh, because really we have a small sample size of Jordan Love. But if you remember last year, I believe when we played in Kansas City and our defense played out of their mind, and I think Kansas City scored like 10 points or 12 points, and we lost like 12-7 or something. Jordan Love against an average, in my opinion, Kansas City defense last year didn't really show me anything, even though, he was prepared and we have tape and we know what we're going to do. And the defense played really well. And then when he came in the Philadelphia game, and I know Darius Slay said something about from the cornerback from the Eagles said, hey, he was slinging it. I really like him. And other people were, oh, look at that pass. And they were showing it all over the ESPN and everything. It's time for Jordan Love. Yeah, again, small sample size. And what I say is, if we play Love, let's say, I don't know, the final two games against Minnesota, which they'll probably be resting their players more than likely, and Detroit, who knows what Detroit will want to do? Maybe they'll want to tank it so they can get another draft pick. Who knows? We're not really going to see Jordan Love in the best light. So to me, again, Love is an interesting prospect, but I don't think he's the answer because people remember when Rodgers came in for Favre in the Dallas Cowboys game. I think it was, I believe it's 2007. Rodgers almost won that game. And at that time, the Cowboys were really doing well and they had a really good defense and a really good offense. And one of the things is when I saw Aaron Rodgers at that time, I was like, he's it. That is the guy. Look what he can do. So I don't see that with Jordan Love. I see Jordan Love as almost like uh, not a literally a backup quarterback. I shouldn't say that. I kind of see him as like a Kirk Cousins. Like, yeah, he's going to do well, but when it comes to really, that big game and really get out there, probably not the guy you want behind center. So my feeling is we need to go with Rodgers as long as we can. And Andy's going to talk about some cap numbers and some other things that really affected too, that could make our decision an easy decision. But obviously, I think Rodgers, in my opinion, is kind of thinking about, yeah, maybe I should retire and give this kid a chance. But with today's win, maybe that changes his mind. Maybe he goes, hey, we still have a good team here. We're going to get better next year. So, Andy, what are your thoughts?
Well, I did want to mention before I move on to that yeah, Rodgers was great in that Dallas game, and I think they were like 10-1 at the time.
Yeah, they were a
So
really good
yeah,
team in
and you
2007.
can understand why the Packers were like, oh, he's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. And again, you can kind of see why people are kind of saying that a little bit about Jordan Love. He did come in, did a great job last week.
Right.
But
But we were down in that game, in the 2007 game. I think we were down by like 3 touchdowns. So and we almost won that game. So it's kind of a big difference when they're playing all their starters and really in the cow. And we were playing at AT&T Stadium. So to me, that's a big, really big difference between what we saw in Philly versus what we saw with Rodgers in Dallas.
yeah, Philly was playing more of almost like a prevent defense,
Yeah,
like they already knew they were going
they
to
were
win.
playing zone
So
and yeah.
yeah, I think Dallas was actually jockeying a little bit for playoff position that year too. So they needed to win that game. So they were
Yes, they
not,
did.
yeah, they were not backing down at all. And so
No.
for Rodgers to be able to perform that well, no surprise, especially now,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So and be rest assured, John, Aaron Rodgers is not retiring. He's
Oh,
not.
really? Why?
We still owe him a lot of money, $150.8 million. So there's
Woo! That's a lot of
150.8
cheddar.
million reasons why. So kudos to him if he wants to retire and everything. I mean, he's given up. Basically, next year he has a $59.5 million contract in 2023. This year he's making 42 million, but next year he's bumping that up 17.5 million, and then in 2024 he's supposed to make 49.3. So yeah, no, we're kind of tied to
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers, if he's not playing for us, he'll be playing for somebody else, but he's going to have his money, and so because of that, I don't see him giving up that type of loot, at least not in the near future, at least not the next couple of years.
No,
So, but anyway, be rest assured, Packer fans and John, I don't think that's happening. So.
I hope not.
But all week I had a whole bunch of headlines blowing up my phone. So I'm going to read off some of these. And this basically, they were calling for Jordan Love to take over for Aaron Rodgers and supplant him for the next few games so we could, check him out, give him a shot or whatever. But I just wanted to read some of these headlines because I think some of them are kind of funny. But
Okay.
the Packers' future may be brighter than we thought. And again, they're referring to Jordan Love being the bright
boy.
spot. The
Okay.
Green Bay Packers urged to pick Jordan Love over rusty Aaron Rodgers as QB1. The third one, it's time for the Packers to sit Aaron Rodgers and find out if Jordan Love is the future. And I know these
boy.
are really long titles and long
Yeah.
headlines, but they were. So and then there was another one. It's time for the Packers to sit Aaron Rodgers and find out if Jordan Love is the future. The ones that John is really going to love is this one.
Oh, man.
The next two, passing the torch, in quotes.
Oh, here we go.
Skip Bayless boldly, and they put boldly in caps,
Of course.
boldly
Skip
claims that Aaron Rodgers getting replaced by Jordan Love marks the end of an era for the Packers legend. Passing the torch. Good old Skip Bayless.
No, Skip
And
Bayless.
then here's one from Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, Stephen A. All right.
It's been long enough. And that's a quote from Stephen A.
Oh, of course.
Stephen A. Smith demands.
Oh, yeah, of course he demands.
Demands in caps lock. Demands. That's hilarious. That's awesome. He demands the Packers shut down Aaron Rodgers.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he is an idiot. Stephen A. Smith.
He's an idiot.
So he's demanding that the Packers shut down Aaron Rodgers after this abysmal season and try out Jordan Love instead. But it was the last one that got me thinking a little bit. So I'm going to go through a little of these. And if you have some comments, and you already did a little bit. So I saw this one, which I'm going to skip the other one, but so I'm going to personally rebut this last one. So the headline was 3 reasons why the Green Bay Packers must shut down Aaron Rodgers and start Jordan Love. And this was from sportsnaut.com. I have no idea what that is, but
okay. Never heard of him.
So the first thing was that the Packers need to prepare for the future, which is basically tank for a better pick in the 2023 draft.
Yeah,
as John and I talked about before, as of November 28th, we had the 9th pick in the draft. It's probably going to be higher than that, but it's going to probably be in the 10 to 15 range, I would assume.
Yeah,
the way things have been going. The Packers could draft another quarterback if they had to. I'm not telling them to do that.
No,
but they could. It's a pretty good quarterback draft. But if you're going to do that, you better make sure that you have done something with Jordan Love and have talked to Aaron Rodgers ahead of time and blah, blah, blah. If somebody falls to you. I'm not saying they should, but they're going to have a high draft pick. They're better off, of course, getting some weapons for a future Hall of Famer.
Or an offensive lineman, because Bakhtiari.
That would be nice. Yep.
Bakhtiari is done. I mean, let's just put him out the pasture and let's come on.
Yep. Yeah. And so we are still not mathematically eliminated, of course. So again, there's no reason to bench him. It's 2%. We had a 2% chance as of Saturday. After today, hopefully it's a little bit better. But A-Rod gives you the best chance to win. And again, you're paying him $42 million to sit on the bench. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
So LaFleur made the only choice he should have made, which was to play Aaron Rodgers today. And then the second thing that they mentioned, Jordan Love deserves a chance to prove himself. And I'm like, no. So he's had 2020, 2021, 2022, and he's been in practices. He's had, I know he hasn't.
He's done preseason.
I know he hasn't played a lot during the season, but he's been in the preseason, and So Jordan Love actually has a $3.94 million salary, about $4 million for 2023. Then it bumps up in 2024. They project him out at about $20 million plus. So they're going to have to make a decision soon. But next year, at least, he only has about a $4 million salaries. So again, I don't think he deserves that. I think
No.
you're tied to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron
Yes,
Rodgers is
we
a
are.
better player, period. And
Oh, yeah.
so, you know, if Jordan Love wants to outplay him during practice and all the other thing, and he just shines, and they decide, okay, we're making a change, fine, whatever. But I don't think that's the right way to word it, that he deserves a chance. So the third thing they mentioned was Aaron Rodgers can no longer hold Green Bay hostage. I mean, seriously,
We always
drama.
say that.
Gosh, and it's too late for that. It's too late for that. The Green Bay front office already went in on Aaron Rodgers, and he's not holding the Packers hostage.
No.
The Green Bay Packers made a decision. They were forced to, because he had won 2 consecutive MVPs. What are you
Yeah.
going to do? What are you going
Right.
to do? Are you going to trade him or not
Trade
pay
him.
him?
Yeah.
Come on. So
Yeah.
none of that, please. The
Yeah.
holding
So
Green Bay
I,
Packers hostage.
I want to bring up something here really quick, Andy, that will help with our debate and everything. So if you remember John Elway near the end of his career, where he won 2 Super Bowls back to back, one against us, they cheated. We already know that. Look at the film. um, but if you remember that game, one of the things is that famous helicopter spin that John Elway did. I think it was like 3rd and 5 or something in the Super Bowl 32, and he
Yep.
came running.
Got
And
hit
at
air
this time, I think
midair.
Elway, yeah, yeah, and I think at
Yep.
this time
Going
Elway
in for
was
a
in his late,
TD.
yeah, he was late 30s, and they hit him, and he did a helicopter spin, and I knew right then and there this guy wants it more than we do, and they're going to win this game. They're going to win the Super
Yep.
Bowl.
And I knew
So
it was his last game, John. I'm like,
so yeah,
he's going out on top. He's going to win this game.
but remember, he came back and beat Atlanta the next year to win back-to-back Super Bowls when they hadn't
Right.
won nothing. But here's my point. My point is, what did they do in Denver? They said, okay, John Elway is not the guy anymore. So we're going to surround him with extremely talented people on offense and defense. So they built their defense up, they built their offense up. So he had a amazing Terrell Owens. No, not Terrell Owens. Whatever their running back was for the Broncos, and they had Shannon Sharp, and they had a great offensive line. So really, all John Elway had to do was just go back there and manage the game. Right?
Yeah,
Don't
that was
lose the
Terrell
game.
Davis, by the way,
Terrell
John.
Davis. Thank
Their
you. Thank you.
fantastic running back that
Correct.
Bonehead
So
Shanahan, he got hurt on
yeah,
him. Yeah,
correct. So
blew out his
if you
knee playing
yeah, if you
playing special
remember
teams.
that, yeah, and if you remember that, the reason he won those Super Bowls was not him. Or if you want to look at someone recent, Peyton Manning, the reason Broncos won a Super Bowl wasn't because of Peyton Manning, right? If you remember the Carolina Broncos Super Bowl, one of the worst Super Bowls ever, in my opinion. Just, oh, that stunk. But again, the Broncos won it in spite of Peyton Manning. The Broncos won it in spite of John Elway. So my feeling is what they need to do, and I know we don't have the salary cap to do it, and I get what they're saying for held hostage. I would come up to Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers and be like, okay, here's the deal. We're going to go all in for next year. We're going to go bring in some veterans. We're going to be drafting a little higher, so we'll be able to bring in some people. Maybe we can trade that draft pick, bring in some more weapons for you, Aaron. And if Aaron says, I don't know, I think I'm going to leave, which he's not going to. But let's say he, has some ayahuasca and he goes like, somebody told him to leave. Some green fairy shows up and tells him to leave. You
Blue of
really,
Earth.
yeah. And then what kind of Jordan Love? So then if you're with Jordan Love, you're like, oh, what do we do now? Right? Do we just draft around him because it's going to take him some while? Do we do the same thing? So my opinion is this: Jordan Love, I think you can trade him Well, they should have traded him this year, in my opinion. But maybe there's something you can work out. I just think that you should go the Elway or the Peyton Manning way and have Rodgers just be surrounded by people instead of this draft and develop stuff that's not working. Go out and trade those draft picks for a veteran. Bring that person in, because when we talk about our draft preview, Andy and I, really when you go through us, yes, we need some offensive line help. Defense, we've drafted so much. I mean, we just need a coach who can come in and really make those players better. In offense, yes, we need some players again, like offensive line and maybe another weapon. But again, we're not that far off. We're not like, 5, 6, 7 players away. We're like maybe 2, 3, possibly. Who knows? So that's kind of my opinion about it. I didn't know if you had any final thoughts about the whole Jordan Love playing, not playing. Andy, if you wanted to go over that.
Actually, I just wanted to comment, there's no guarantees in the first round when you're picking a quarterback either. So
No.
usually with recent drafts, you're lucky you find one really good quarterback out of usually, 2 to 4 will be drafted in the first round. So there's no guarantees. You're lucky you find one.
Yeah.
So that's just a coin flip. We know what we have in Aaron Rodgers. We know he can win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So
with the right talent. So, okay. So
in parentheses. Yep.
Yes. So Packer fans, we'd love to hear about what you think about that. We're always willing to listen to you guys. And I'm going to be setting up that email pretty soon, so you can email us at Packers Blitz, because we'd love to hear your opinion. So next game is just the Rams. And I'm I'm thinking that
Ouch.
Well, okay. Ouch.
Ugh.
Before we get to you talking about that, I'm thinking, just my thoughts are really one line. I'm thinking ESPN goes, can we change this? Can we flex? Can we do anything? I have nothing to bring to the table.
Monday Night Football.
Teams. Yeah. So we have a week 14 bye. And then Andy, why don't you give your very quick preview of this great game, Monday night game coming out.
Yeah, we play the defending Super Bowl champion LA Rams. They are 3-8. They are doing pretty well at the moment. I'm looking on my phone. They're only down by 1 point.
Okay.
Yeah, they're only down by 1 against the Seattle Seahawks they're playing. It's 14-13 they're down. So they might give us a game. Hopefully we won't have any problem, but who knows.
I mean,
so again, they have a worse record than we have. So that's very, very surprising.
And they just won the Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah, they're just so some of the words that comes to mind, at least about their offense, the national media has said horrible, painful to watch. I think I heard that once, and devoid of talent. So Stafford's hurt right now. Cooper Kupp's on IR. You got Allen Robinson, season-ending surgery, I think, on his leg. The offensive line has been ravaged by injuries, and that's probably the thing that's hurt them the most, with 6 offensive linemen missing time. And again, another quote from the national media, NFL's worst offensive line. And then they even dealt starting running back Darrell Henderson to the Jacksonville Jaguars for some reason, and they just have a horrible running game as well. So really not too much to say about the LA Rams offense, although they put up 13 points today. Then the LA Rams defense, the all-world defensive tackle Aaron Donald is out. He has the dreaded high ankle sprain, which usually takes 4 to 6 weeks to heal. So I really don't think, they say he's week to week. I really think he's not going to play against us.
No, we need
and
to
then
shut him down.
their secondary is led by cornerback Jalen Ramsey. He does have the ability to be a shutdown corner, but it's not fully realized because the LA's D plays zone most of the time. And because of that, he's not always on the best wide receiver. So I kind of noticed that in some of the games that I'd watched him play. It's like he's not always on the best wide receiver. So,
No.
and that's the reason that they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the other week, because they basically played zone and Brady picked them apart right at the end. I think it was right at the end of the game in the fourth quarter to win the game. Came back, another Brady classic, which we don't like talking about Tom Brady, but so in a nutshell,
Yeah.
UG for that game. So hopefully
So
another victory.
Yeah. So why don't you sign us off here in the show, Andy? Why don't you sign us off?
Sure, I can do that. So congrats to Christian Watson on being the NFL Rookie Offensive Player of the Month for November. Congrats to the Packers for a hard-to-come-by win. And congrats to any and all Packer fans out there who still believe in Aaron Rodgers. And thank you all so much for listening to Packers Blitz.
And thank you again so much, like Andy said, for listening to Packers Blitz. Hit the subscribe button. We're a local podcast, so we need all the downloads we can get to continue this and to continue to have fun. And like Andy said it best, it's so nice I can do it with my good buddy and talk about Packers and everything. But it's only if you guys are, subscribing to us and really making us kind of rise up the charts so we can continue to do this. We will most likely in the future, because we love what we do.
I did want to mention, John, I know I'm stealing your thunder. Everybody out there, make sure that you listen to John's other podcast that he does with two really nice ladies. What it's called, Dairyland Rights.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So check that out. That's something I love. I love the Packers and the paranormal. So it's kind of a fun thing for me to do. So we love you, Packer fans. Andy is taking a nice trip, taking some time off. So next week we might be a little bit later with our show, and it's a bye week. So we might talk about some draft picks. We might talk about whatever we want because it's our show. And that's what I love about the freedom. We can talk about whatever we want. So we love you, Packer fans. Have a great week. Andy, you have a great week too, buddy.
Thanks, John. Take care.